Like, you can learn anything in life. Like, think about if you were to talk to yourself like 2 years ago and you tried to explain some of the things you're doing in school. They'd be like, "What? Like, this is crazy." Like, it just shows like we can learn so much, and like don't ever feel like science or science projects are restricted for a certain kind of person.
Hi there,
This
everyone.
is
Exclusive hot.
Welcome all to Why the How podcast. It's another episode, and I have a special guest here in front of me, Sara Waqas. Welcome to the podcast.
Thank you so much, and thank you for having me.
Of course, Sara, for those listening, won our Best Project Award in the Discovery category at Townwide Science Fair this year in 2025. She's also just gotten back from USIS, the European Union's Youth Science, Young Scientists.
Contest for young scientists.
Contest for Young Scientists. I should know that. So that contest for Young Scientists, where you won a second prize as well for your project. So you have had a year.
Yeah.
Now, your project title is Neurobiologically Informed Targeted Schizophrenia Treatment, a multi-omic fMRI approach. Did I get that right? That's a mouthful. And you're developing what personalized schizophrenia treatments based on individual neurobiological profiles.
Yeah, exactly.
How about you give me the 30-second elevator pitch rundown of what does that mean?
Yeah, of course. So current drugs right now, they are targeting these large neurotransmitter systems like dopamine and serotonin. And so this has been helpful for some patients to reduce symptoms of schizophrenia, so things like mania, but it's really imprecise because when you're targeting this large system, you cause a lot of these off-target effects, and they're not actually leading to any kind of restoration. So the second you get off, there's no really benefit of being on them for so long. And so in my project, I actually looked at what was going on in the brains of people with schizophrenia, and the culmination of that research was the design of a multi-targeting drug that was found to perform better on the target side selected than the current drugs on the market.
Just casually, just for fun. Okay, so where did this idea come from?
Yeah, I know. I always get this question, and it's really hard for me to like really think of that. But I think I'll go back to like when I started the project, and that was like right after my ninth grade like science fair. And so I had not made it to nationals, and I was really sad. But I was like, okay, this time I'm gonna start working on my new project. But it's gonna be something that I'm like really interested in. Like I'm not gonna try to win. I'm just gonna do like what I really like. And so I've always been really into psychiatry and like any kind of like psychological like imbalance and stuff because I've just been around it a lot, and I work with kids with a lot of neurodevelopmental disorders. So I've always been interested in that. And then schizophrenia is really interesting in particular because it's starting to be recognized as a neurodevelopmental disorder, and it's also a psychiatric disorder. So it's like a cool interplay of those two things. And so I just started reading a little more about that, and I saw the statistic that 1/3 of people with schizophrenia are treatment resistant. And so that's where I was like, okay, this is something I want to address. Like, how can I make that better?
So big problem, lots of people facing it, a third of all of them. Like that is a massive number of people. You said you started reading more about it. I can't imagine you just walking down to your local library or picking up a book from the school bookstore. Like where are you getting all of this information? What rabbit holes did you go down? Tell us where you found your inspiration.
Yeah, I had like two main ways. The first is, of course, like Google, and I didn't start with like the journals because it's just, I think it's too overwhelming at first. I would just watch like any kind of like medical video I'd see online. There's this guy called Dr. K on YouTube, so I'd watch a lot of his videos. Have you heard of him?
Of
Yeah.
course, yeah.
Yeah, he's like a psychiatrist, so I would watch a lot of his videos talking to patients. So that was kind of like the preliminary thing that got me more into like understanding the disorder. And then of course, when I had more specific questions, like I think even when I was working on like my new topic this year, it's kind of like the questions sprout from when you learn more. But then the second part of it was just talking to people with lived experience. So there's a few people I know that have siblings and sons that have schizophrenia. So that was kind of the second part. Is like I learned all the scientific things, and then when I was designing like what I wanted to do to help with treatment, I would talk to them and be like, what would be helpful for treatment?
I love that answer for two main reasons. First, you didn't try to go and deep dive straight away. You just watched a YouTube video and just like let some content, like you tried to go broad first before you then went narrow. Love that. Great advice. Everyone listening, write that down. Just Watch some YouTube videos, read some Wikipedia articles, like go broad, and then you can figure out like all the technicals and go down some rabbit holes. And then
Yeah,
second, I
exactly.
love that you spoke to people that were in your local community or like in your personal community. This is an issue that's like directly relevant to the way that you want to interact with the world. And I love that that's a source of your information, your inspiration.
Yeah, it's really important to me that, like, if I'm doing anything, it's, like, centered on, like, the people that will be affected by it. So, yeah, I really appreciate that.
Was there a moment when you were doing this project? Because I imagine it took you a while. This isn't something that you whipped together over a weekend. Was there one particular moment where you'd been working on it and all of a sudden you're like, okay, this is going to work. Like this is the project that I'm selecting. This is what I'm doing now.
That's such a good question, actually. It's really hard for me to tell. I always go on tangents, so I'll do this again. But a big question I get from people, they're like, "Oh, I don't know where to start," and like, I don't know what background I need to get and all that. For this project, and actually, like all my projects, like there's never really a point. On oh, one second, just give me a second, please. There's never really a point where I feel like I'm like, this is my idea until it's, like, really like, I've really finalized it and I'm, like, 2 months away from my fair. Like, I'm still always adjusting it. I think the moment where I was like, "Okay, I wanna do, like, precise treatment," was after, like, summer had ended. I kinda realized I kinda need to lock in on my project. Like, I'd been working on it for, like, months, just, like, reading up. But I think when I finally, like, I saw the gap and, like, I gathered all my resources and I was like, "Okay, I think this is possible." I was like, I need to commit to this idea. But honestly, yeah, it wasn't until like 2 months before the fair that I was like, okay, like I have a real set like plan in mind. Cause I changed it so many times. At first I was like, okay, I want to look at inflammation in the brain. I can't do that. There's no like PET scans that I can use. And so then the second idea, I was like, I want to do some kind of like gene silencing treatment. Again, can't really do that. So it's just like it's very fluid and in the air, and like that's a big thing too. Like you don't feel like you need to know everything and like you need to have your idea to get started. It'll become more like understandable once you work on it.
One thing about our community of nerds, the beautiful nerds that we all are, is that I think every single one of us is an overthinker. I
Yep.
just,
Yep.
just first and foremost, I think that's like a requirement to get in the front door to being part of us. But it's also probably our biggest weakness in that we just tend to overthink everything, and it's so easy to get stuck on restrictions and trying to think through the entire thing before you even get started. But I love that you had a few different ideas. And what you actually did first was realize I don't have access to those resources. So it's just not an idea for me. Even if you thought of just interesting, you're like, cool, I don't have those resources. There'll be another idea. And I love that you were flexible in that and recognizing that sometimes there are constraints that you can't solve easily. But if you've got another idea as a backup, you can just dive straight on into that.
Yeah, you totally have to be flexible with these projects because you could even be working like you have a complete plan. You thought all this was accessible, and then you're working on it, and you're like, "Oh no, like I can't do this." And you have to be adaptable. Like if you have it's just like science in general too. Like if you're not willing to pivot and like learn from what you messed up on, it's not going to be enjoyable first, and it probably won't be very successful either.
Exactly. This is real science. People people love to question why are high school students doing STEM projects. It's real science. Like this is actually what it feels like in the real world to do. You get the same sort of challenges. It's the same sort of process. It's just a scientific method. Like I'm sure you've been hit over the head with that by your science teacher for 10 years now. Like this
Yeah.
is legitimately what we're doing here. So this is an idea you've been working on for months. Give us a rough timeline. When do you start thinking about STEM projects, science fair? When do you start looking at different ideas? How long does it take you to research? When do you lock it in?
I love that lock-in. Yeah, the lock-in for me, well, I'll start from the beginning and then I'll talk about the lock-in phase. But for me, I think this is relatable for like high school students because like we don't have a lot of time during the year, and so like the initial like background lock-in phase is during the summer. So that's when I start thinking about like my new project ideas. But I'm not too strict about it. I feel like if you make it like you such structured time, it becomes really unenjoyable. And so for me, I try to have it in the back of my mind for like the first month ish. Like during July, I'm just kind of like running things over in my head. And then August is like I'm actually starting to draft some good ideas that I think that I'd want to pursue. And this is also the phase where I'm like actually looking at what's feasible. So I take that time, like if I need to reach out to a professor or I need to get some kind of data request in, I try to do that in July. And once fall starts up, like this is actually I'm in the phase right now because I'm working on my next project. It's kind of it's a bit of like finalizing the background research, but then also like really locking down on like your resources. Like you need to have all that figured out because I think the major breaks are the ones I take advantage of. So we have like a winter break, or which is now called exam break, which is so sad. Which you're supposed to be studying in, but I don't really do that too much. So I take that time to really like get things done. And my regional fair is in April, so it's gonna depend on when your regional fair is. But honestly, I'm still working on it up until late March, even early April. So, it's just taking any like the weekends, any opportunity you can get to work on it. But also I was saying this in an interview as well that like I'm always somehow thinking about it. Like it's always kind of running in my head. And I even saw well, I know Reddit's not the greatest source, but I saw these people talking about like the challenges of working in like multiple labs at once. And they said the main thing is that you to be a good researcher, you need to be constantly like thinking about your problem in the context of like your everyday life. And if you're working at like two things at once, there's not time for that. So for me, I think it's like always trying to like think of your question and your project in a different light is something I try to do over and over. Like I'm still iterating on the idea over time because like things come up and like you have questions, you're like, okay, wait, this doesn't really make a lot of sense, so you spend another day like going through Google and stuff. So it's a big process, but I'd say for me it spans like maybe 8 to 10 months throughout the whole thing, throughout regionals and then the little time before nationals.
Yeah, I think the key thing you said there is that you're not structuring it at the start. You're just letting it come to you. You're kicking your feet up by the side of an Alberta lake, I'm sure, when it's beautiful and sunny outside. Just scrolling around on your phone looking for ideas. But it is, I love that. And it's funny. My therapist asked me the other day, she was like, how do you feel about your work and your workload? And I was like, oh, like I think about it all the time, but this isn't like a terrible thing where it's like I'm overworked and it's like an unhealthy relationship with work. It's just I really like what I'm doing. And
Yeah,
so I'm thinking about it all the time. And it's the same for your science fair project. If it's something you're interested in, it's okay to think about it all the time. But you're also allowed to take a break. And
yeah.
if you spread it over 10 months, it's like a healthy relationship with something you're fascinated about and you're just exploring all of the options.
Did she say it was healthy to me thinking about it?
I said it was healthy and she
Oh,
didn't correct me. So
okay,
that
okay.
counts, right? I think that counts.
I think so.
Yeah. But it is. And that's why like you'll hear me say it in every interview. You'll hear me say it anytime you chat to me. Choose something you're interested in because it makes everything so much easier. It's so hard to be motivated about something that you just don't care about.
Exactly. There's so many times where you're gonna have to make some sacrifices for anything, of course. But there's so many times where you're like, okay, I could work on it right now, or I could go with my friend. Which I'm not saying cancel plans with your friends, but I'm saying like you will probably have to make those decisions, and it's so much easier to do that if like you would still work on this project even if there was no awards and nothing, just because you're so interested. And it's not to say that some kids aren't successful doing a project that they don't like. It's just so much more like grueling. Like why would you put yourself through that?
It's also just more fun to do something that you're interested in. Like this, for most people, this isn't something you have to do. Like,
Exactly. Yeah.
yeah, there's parental pressure and there's school pressure, and sometimes it's part of the curriculum. But for quite a lot of our students, this is just a fun thing to do in your spare time. So, like, make it fun.
Exactly.
Don't struggle through this.
Yeah, and if you have, like, winning in the back of your mind, it like, it's just not. I think I say this so many times, it's just not a good feeling. Because if you do win, that's the best outcome in this situation, you're not gonna even be happy about it because you've been expecting it, like, this is the bare minimum for you. So if you go in being, like, grateful and excited for the chance to work on this, like, it's so cool to live in, like, North America, and a country where we have access to, like, computers and, like, technology, that I feel like if you view it as like a privilege and something that you're so excited to do, it's so much funner.
I'm glad you think so because I certainly think so from the outside looking in.
It is fun. I think so.
It is fun. So 8 to 10 months. you're working through this project. Can you give me an idea of like technically what does that look like for you? So are you writing things down on a piece of paper? Are you sitting cross-legged on your bed, typing away on your computer, saving things to Notion or Obsidian or Google Docs? Like, talk us a little bit about the actual logistics of putting together a project.
Yeah, I think maybe I should be more organized because I like host everything in two Google Docs. So one of them is like my logbook because my regional fair like requires a logbook. But I also think even if your fair doesn't, which I'm pretty sure most do, it's just really nice to track your progress, and it even helps with like if you do a project next year, like seeing the timeline and like how long different things take. So I have that like the logbook document, and then I also have like it's just like a master like science fair document. It's like it was like 200 pages long with everything. Like I would have random copy pasted parts of articles which don't show this to many people because you might be seen as like you're doing plagiarism. But no, I like have random things like paragraphs of articles and all these links and then random brainstorms. And like for me, I try not to say this to many people, but I think I trust you, but I don't really like ChatGPT that much. Like I'm kind of against it. But I do think like it is good for explaining concepts, but I would just say in the initial like idea phase, this is my opinion, so take it with a grain of salt, but it might be a little nicer to just like sit with your ideas. So in the document, I also have like a separate tab that's just like iterating and then like seeing if it's feasible and then like going back and like asking more questions and then using ChatGPT if there's like a term that I come across that I need to learn about. But yeah, since my work was very computational, it was all online, all on my computer. I didn't build anything, so I'm sure this would look a lot different for someone like Evan who actually builds like a turtle. For me, everything was just on my laptop, and maybe I should be more organized, but it worked for me.
This sounds like you are organized. You have a reference document with your brainstorming and clippings, and then you have a separate logbook. Genius.
Really?
I mean,
Okay.
yeah, I think you're doing great. That's
Wow.
fantastic. I mean, Trisha was coding and she was just like copy pasting to a text file, like not even using any sort of backup. So like, so
That's
we're all out
scary.
here just doing our best. That's so funny. But yes, logbooks are super important, even if they're not required at the actual like science fair. Logbooks are an important part of science and about STEM, and just keeping track of your thoughts, the dates. It's basically just a journal for your science fair project, and
Yeah,
it's
it
so
doesn't
important.
have to be, like, very structured. I've had people ask that too, like, "What does your logbook need to be?" And it's like, there's literally nothing. Like, it could be a notebook, it could be on your computer. If someone read what was in my logbook, it it would be funny. I had some really funny things in there. So it's not very structured at all.
It doesn't have to be, and it's literally just a place to keep all of your thoughts in order. Basically, it
Yeah.
doesn't even have to be in order, but just
Just
orderly
your thoughts.
fashion. So yeah, just your thoughts. That's amazing. So let's move on to mental health research. I'm sure so many people have a very similar question, but how did you approach researching something as challenging, as technical, as personal as something like mental health?
Yeah, that's a really good question, actually. I think the big thing is even like STEM projects in general, but more specifically mental health is like really recognizing that like know nothing and you need to approach everything with that mindset and like that curiosity of like really understanding. So trying to let go of like any preconceived notions that you have. And I think so that's something like I tried really hard to make sure I really understood schizophrenia. So if anyone asked me anything, not even like for so people knew that I knew what I was talking about, but more like I'm able to like talk about this disorder, like I really understand it. But the second phase is like centering the people in your research. So that means like don't like I feel like you need to really like get into the world of it. So like understanding different things like person first language and like the different ways that you're supposed to approach mental health research. So like actually like taking in the opinions of the people affected is really, really important. So I think like there's so many good resources and like research papers online with like frameworks on how to approach mental health research, and they all kind of just boil down to you have to be like very extra sensitive because this is something that really like it affects so many people. And like as a researcher, you can't produce good research if you're so disconnected from that world. And so you don't need to necessarily talk to people with lived experience, but it's always good because there's probably someone in your community that's facing exactly the problem that you're trying to tackle. But more so like just recognizing that like you like being humble when you approach it and like understanding it before you try to make any claims. Like that was a big thing. The my PI at the lab that I work at, she was really keen on framing. So like when you're talking about your project or doing mental health research, it's really important that the way you talk about the disorder is sensitive, but then also the way you like talk about what you're doing for it is not like you're not over promising because that first off that's insensitive to the people that you're trying to help, and second it's just disingenuous. It doesn't come off as nice if you're promising to eradicate schizophrenia or eradicate any kind of disorder. And then also just making sure that you are like really educated on the terms. And so I think any research specifically, but I think more specifically mental health is you need to acknowledge just how sensitive it is.
Yeah, I think it's really important there that you said just be humble and be curious about it. And I think that that goes such a long way. Mental health research or just any sort of research, I think like putting aside this ego or like this sense of like a savior complex or anything and making sure that you're doing it for the right reasons, I think comes across just in the way you present yourself, the way that you interact with people. I know like some people can get so worried about doing or saying or writing the wrong thing. But I think if you come at it with an honesty, the community and the audience is going to pick up on that. And I think you'll get a much better result just with having that approach than if you come at it, with a sense of confidence that maybe you don't feel, but like you feel like you need to be super confident. Like it's okay to just be, as you said, like be humble and be honest about it.
Yeah, that's so true. I think people like, especially with questions from the judges or even like members of the audience, like feeling the need to always have like an answer ready for them. But like a part of presenting your STEM project is to get like that feedback too. And so saying like I don't know or like I've never heard that perspective. Like I remember I was talking to someone that had schizophrenia and I asked them like what would make your life so much easier. And like I had an idea in my mind of what I thought he was going to say, and he said something completely different. He said that like I wish I had more accommodations for work. And like that's of course a really important thing, but I would have never thought that. And so if I were to come at it like, oh, this is just one person stuff, like not actually valuing who you're trying to help, it doesn't come off as nice. And it's also not your research is then not helping them. So it's like why are you doing it, you know?
Yeah, exactly. So just because you've just mentioned it, how is your research helping them? Like give us what the actual impact has been.
Yeah, I think for the big thing for them is just like feeling heard. Like whenever I talk to someone with schizophrenia and I discuss like my approach and just like the project in general is like not supposed to be like we should start using this drug and giving it to people with schizophrenia. It's more like the approach, and that's something they really like the twofold approach of like understanding what's going on in the brain, making it specifically targeted for the dysfunction, so not this like band-aid solution, and then also consultation. So when I talked to this, she was actually one of my delegates for Canada-wide. When I was speaking with her son, they were very excited because it was actually like it was something that felt like I cared kind of about them and like what they were going through, rather than like okay, let's just cure these symptoms so we can get rid of them and like not have them affect us, you know. So that was kind of the feedback I received. But again, this project is like the work that researchers are doing in schizophrenia, it's like some miles beyond. So just getting any kind of good validation was really nice.
It's really something that not a lot of people think about when they're talking about a STEM project, but so much of science is niching down so much into something so specific. But really, the impact you're having on that specific community, especially if they feel like they haven't been heard, or perhaps it's research on something that hasn't had a lot of research on it before. Like it might seem a little silly, but like the impact for these people on the other end, this is their entire world. And
Yeah.
you just showing that you're caring and that this is something that is important to you makes them feel important too.
For sure. I heard that a lot during the final day, the public viewing, and they were happy that they were being centered in some kind of research, because it's so easy to like it's hard for people like on the outside of the research world to feel, or even if I had some kind of chronic disorder, like it's hard for me to feel like there's any progress being made, especially when they're not being consulted. So I think that was a really great part of the project.
Were there any surprises or maybe misconceptions or something that came up throughout your project that you weren't expecting when you started it, 12 months ago?
Like about my understanding of the disorder, how
Could be
people.
either. Yeah. Could be
Okay.
either like your understanding or you had a conversation with someone and changed their understanding as well in a way that they didn't expect.
Yeah, I think there's like a very interesting like media portrayal of schizophrenia. So a lot of people think that like the I'll start with the others and then I'll get into my misconceptions. But I found really interesting, if you ask someone like what they think someone with schizophrenia is like, they think it's like a very overt and like obvious thing, like you could point it out and stuff. And like that is like it could present like that, but a lot of times you'll if you're taking transit or you're on the bus, you would not be able to tell that the person right beside you is struggling with that. So I think explaining that, especially to the judges, like the fact that the disorder goes like so much more than that. It's not just these like the mania and the hallucinations. Some patients, their main symptom is that like the cognitive decline part of it, the like the disillusionment. They're not able to understand where they are in place and time. So that was a big misconception I saw in the public. It's thinking that schizophrenia is just these episodes of mania and all that. And so the misconceptions I personally had with the disorder were like I mentioned, just like what the patients actually wanted. So I thought like the main thing that they would say is like we just want to get rid of it, like we want to be cured and all that. And what came up time and time again was the side effects. Like that was literally it. The side effects of the medication were their biggest concern. It wasn't even like, oh, because some of them would be like, yeah, this medication doesn't actually help me that much, but I like it more than like olanzapine, because it's just like it's not making me feel so horrible every day. And so that was shocking to me. That's when I was like, okay, I want to make the drug that I designed be like have a more gentler mechanism of action. So that was a big learning for me, that actually most people are not they've kind of gotten peace with their lives and they're accepting of it, but the other effects that come with switching medication and these non-specific drugs is the most taxing for them.
What a fascinating insight into someone's life, right? Like what an incredible takeaway to have, that this is the purpose of your project, is to ease their life as opposed to trying to. I think so many people try to fix things, that once you start talking to people with that lived experience, it's not something they need fixing. It's not something that maybe
Yeah.
you can even fix, but it's all about just managing it to make their life easier.
Exactly, exactly. That's the key of like patient-centered research. It's like not be trying to be the savior that comes in and fixes their whole lives, but like just really listening, like what do you need? What can we do? And then actually giving it to them, not making them wait like thousands of years to see any progress.
Yeah, we could all be so lucky to have someone listening to us just like that. It's wonderful. It's wonderful. Was there any sort of like massive challenge that you felt like you had to overcome during this project? Like, was there something that really took you a long time to push through to overcome?
think it's like twofold. I'll start with the more like science tech one that we'd expect, and then I'll go into more of like the mental challenge. In terms of the tech stuff, it was learning all the technologies that I use. Like it was rough. I thought, because I learned how to do gene analysis. I thought like, okay, I'm pretty good at this. Like this is something I'm good at. I was fine at that, but then when I started trying to analyze the brain scans, it was bad. I would follow this guy. His name was like Andrew John on YouTube, and I was just watching his tutorial. And the first step, the easiest step, he has 1 2-minute video on this, is in the like platform, you upload the scans. That's the step. And I spent like a week on that step because I would keep on uploading the wrong file into like the different patient like repositories, because there was like patient 1 2 3 4 5. So it actually ended up uploading to patient 5. 5, patient 1. I don't know how I did it like 4 times, and then I was like, "This is so annoying. What if I just upload," because there's 2 files. There's the functional file, which is like the blood oxygenation, and there's the structural file. Well, I maybe I was sleeping in bio because I didn't understand that like you need the structural file to map the function. So I was like, "Okay, I'm just not gonna upload the structural file." So yeah, it was rough. That was the big part. The brain scans was really bad. So I thought, okay, I analyzed this, the worst is over. Um, and then storage. That was a big one. I downloaded all these to my computer, and I actually became like so good at figuring out how to free up storage because I had 400 gigs on that computer, and it was still not enough for all my things. So I was seeing games. I had Fortnite downloaded. I had to say goodbye to that. I had to say goodbye to Roblox, to Teams. Like it was crazy the things I was
Not
deleting.
Teams.
That was, and my
Wow, is
dad,
that the secret?
every sorry, what'd you say?
Is that the secret to staying productive? Is to start downloading hundreds of brain scans so that you actually can't
Maybe
fit
it
games
is.
on your computer?
I didn't have Roblox, I didn't have Fortnite. I literally
Big
had my
brain
friends
move.
be like, "That's smart, right?" But they were like, "Oh, let's play Fortnite." No, I deleted it. Like, I can't do that. It was all the big space. Yeah, and sometimes, oh my god, MATLAB takes like hours to run a thing, right? I thought I would have enough storage. I would leave it overnight. I'd come back from school like 4 p.m. and it would crash because I didn't have enough storage. I was mad. So that was a frustrating part. And then I'm done. I'm done. I fixed all the storage issues. And then the drug design, because I'm not good at chemistry, so I had to learn from scratch, like drug design, how different like molecules interact with each other. And at one point, I had made this like reactive oxygen species. It was called like um a radical oxygen group or something, and it was like my binding scores went like shot down. They were horrible, and I was like, what happened here? And then turns out I'm looking at my structure and I'm like, yeah, I just made like a highly explosive radioactive molecule. Like, thank god it wasn't passing my safety test. So that was the technical side. But in terms of like the mental, like kind of like all the mental blocks, um I think the big part was like the initial part of it, like feeling the pressure that like I want to win and I want to do so good. And that was really limiting for me because then the whole time I'm thinking of like how could I make like a really good project and how could I win? And that was really hard for me because I would scratch ideas not because I thought they were bad, but because I thought like, oh, this is not going to win. And so once I really finally got past that and I was like, it doesn't matter, like I'm doing this because I like it was much more easier to work on. So I think like decentering it, unfortunately, it's kind of sad to say, but I had to like decenter like science for and all that and like remind myself that like I'm kind of a human outside of all that. And like if I do well, that's awesome. If not, like it's okay as well. That was a big barrier I had to overcome. But thankfully, I think I kind of got over it during the summer. And so I was able to lock in the other months. But that was a very long answer. I'm very sorry about that.
Not at all. It's so annoying when people are right. You know, like when they give you advice and they're like, don't think about winning, just
I
enjoy the
know.
process. It's so annoying when it turns out they're right.
I know, and you don't believe them until it happens. Like I would have never believed them until I actually experienced it.
Ridiculous.
Yeah.
But now you won though.
Yes.
I don't know how you're gonna think about a new project this year.
Yeah, that was a hard thing for me too, actually. It was again the think of like, okay, how can I ever top this? And again, all my good idea that I settled on came from when I stopped thinking about that and I was just like, how can I make a product that I like? Like I just had to realize like that's the one thing. Like we expect a life to be this like linear thing. Like you do good here and then next time you're gonna do 2 times as well or I don't that's linear. See, I know my math. 2 times as
Yeah.
well, and then you're gonna go 2 times again. But it's like it doesn't have to be like that. Like you could again, for me, it was like I did well, then I did really bad, then I did really, really well. Like it doesn't don't expect that like you're gonna have to create this life where like the next time it's gonna be even better. So again, for me, like I'm totally content. I would love to go to Canada again, but again, I'm content. Like if I don't make it past my regional, that's okay too.
That's good. I'll let your regional coordinator know and they can select someone else.
No, no, no,
No, just joking.
no, not that far. But
No, I can say it. Okay.
yeah, yeah.
Oh, that's good. Yeah, I mean, your answer though was pretty spot on. I know it was a bit winded, but it was pretty spot on, both in terms of the mental and also the technical. I mean, like, it sounds like technically you could have finished this project in half the time if things had just
Yeah,
Just work properly.
exactly.
So you're learning chemistry from scratch. Where, what, how? Like, where's that coming from? What are you doing there?
That's GitHub, the organic chemistry tutor, just like every YouTube and like GitHub resource I could find. And it was really nice. I have like a really awesome chemistry teacher at my school. So I hadn't started chemistry. I did it second semester. So I'd always come up to her and I'd ask her questions about the molecule specifically. So I think, yeah, like using any kind of resource you have, like guys, your teachers are actually really smart. Like don't underestimate them. Don't
What?
sleep on them.
Imagine.
Yeah, she was really good. So yeah, I think there's just so much information online. Like I feel like everything is online. If you want to learn anything about anything, there's like 60 like Harvard lectures about organic chemistry. So yeah, I think just being patient with learning too. Like it took me a while to like even start beginning designing the drug because I need to understand the structure and then how I could edit things and all that. So yeah, just there's a lot online.
I mean, the most important question I take away from all of that is, are you paying for YouTube Premium yet or not? Are you watching all these videos with ads?
With a okay, I have an
That
ad
is
blocker, which is
insane.
really evil, I know, because I have to, like, give them money for their videos, so I'm really like, I'm sorry about that, but I had an ad blocker, and then YouTube's like do you remember they started, like, blocking the ad blockers? So
Yeah,
now I
they're
watch
pretty
with
smart.
them. Yeah, I know. It was sad.
Oof, that's a lot.
There's a lot of ads. Yeah.
That's a lot. Where did you find your mentor? You've mentioned a couple of people now. Like you've got chemistry teachers, obviously. You had someone from your regional fair, which is amazing, or your delegate from your regional fair. But you also mentioned that you're a mentor in a lab as well. How did you find them? Like where did you start that process?
So honestly, I was like a really big fan of her work for like a really long time. So I'd been like looking at all the stuff her lab was doing and I was like super inspired because I think I mentioned this at the Meet the Winners, but she's like a doctor and she has a PhD. So she became a doctor like the hard way, like twice. And so I don't know why she did that. But I know she's really awesome. So during the summer or like actually like a few days after the regional fair in grade 9, I just started like sending out a bunch of emails to professors like her that I was really inspired by. And so she was really nice to like reply to my email, and so she offered me like a summer position. And so the work we do is like it's very different. It's like on like neurodevelopmental disorders in children. But after the summer, she offered that I come work for like year round, and it's like more of a long term position. And that's when I started to mention to her, like, oh, I have this project I'm working on, and I was wondering if there's like anything that you could help me with. And so she was the big one that helped me with framing and like the patient centered approach. But I guess the way that I found her was like, there's so many like local like institutions that you even not like universities. There's even like biotech groups and like different startups that like I swear just send an email to them or like even find their LinkedIn and send a message. A lot of people are at least willing to like hop on a call with you as long as you're like nice and you're enthusiastic and you're not like please give me like all the things that your lab has to offer because like they rely on funding and so like it's not reasonable to expect that they'll give you their lab but I've seen some people be successful at that so you never know but yeah there's and then so that's like the university thing but I also think there's just like there's mentors all around you like if your parent is like an engineer and you're doing an engineering project that's a great resource or even a teacher from school that mentioned that they were like into aerospace there's mentors all around and people think of mentors they think like the conventional like a professor or something but like there's so many mentors like even reaching out I always tell people this they ask me questions about like science fair and stuff and I always say at the end I'm like feel free to reach out to anyone else as well because people really like talking about themselves so like there's mentors all around like just don't be shy and like you just got to get over the like embarrassment part of like saying an email to a random person but yeah I'd say there's so many mentors everywhere.
And what I really like about you is that you didn't just have one mentor. I think a lot of students get held up on this idea that they need to find one mentor to
Right.
solve all of their problems. It's like just like only finding one friend and you have to hang out with them for every single time you hang out. Like the
Yeah.
reason we have a group of friends is that they can all provide you with something a little bit different. And so having a mentor, like a scientific mentor to provide you with that framing, but then having someone provide you mentorship with the lived experience side of things. And then you can have your parents to just give you advice on how to handle the stress of doing all of these things that you seem to be doing. I don't, the longer this interview goes on, the more it sounds like you're doing. So we'll get to that in a second, though.
Yeah, exactly. I agree. It's good to have a diverse perspective, even and like just anyone can be a mentor. It's not rigid. It's not that it has to be a scientific mentor.
And if you can't find a mentor, join the Purple STEM Wave Discord server.
Yep.
Yeah, little self promo, but we're pretty great in there. There's a lot of very smart people in there providing a lot of advice on a whole bunch of different topics.
Yeah, I agree, guys. Join the Discord.
Nice, nice. How did your friends and family react when you told them about your project idea right at the start? So this is before you started winning everything.
Okay, well, my parents are like they have like a very unique approach to parenting. So they're like they put like no pressure on me at all. Like but they're not like non-supportive, but like when I tell them it's not like they're not like too invested like trying to ask me about all the little details, but they were pretty excited cuz they get we have family and stuff that suffer with things like mania and psychosis. So they really liked my topic actually, but I think it might have went over their heads a little bit. Like they're kind of the people that like they're super excited for you, but like they might not understand it all. So that was the reaction. My sister was really excited. She's been the she's really interesting. She puts it whenever I tell her my new ideas, she puts it in this like weird scale. She's like, okay, this is like a really cool thing, and your new idea is like this far away from that cool thing. So she's like very abstract with how she feels about my ideas. In terms of my friends, I try to keep my like science for life a little bit separate from it because like my friends are great, but they're not very excited about like STEM fairs and STEM projects. So I would always kind of mention like actually my friend I was working on my logbook on the bus and she was like, "Why are you like procrastinating your project so much?" Because it was like a month before the fair. So they were involved in that way. They kept me in check. But yeah, my friends and family they were quite like no pressure. So it was nice to not feel like someone was like you know expecting something.
It's nice also, I guess, to be able to like step away from your STEM project and go hang out with your friends without it
Yeah,
feeling like they're invested and they've got their own project to worry about, and then you get together and that's all you worry about together. It's
yeah, for
nice to
sure.
have that separation.
Yeah, like there's the friends that I meet at USIS and at Canada, they're great for like when you want like someone else to relate to, like all the struggles and stuff. But yeah, my friends are great when like you're just trying to like you don't care. You're trying to worry about school and not your STEM project.
So you've got a lot going on. That's very clear. You're doing a lot of different things. You're an overachiever for sure, which, hilarious because your parents aren't pressuring you into things, but then you probably put so much pressure on yourself that they don't need to. Wonderful. Again, very consistent personality trait to have in our nerdy community. Do you want to give us a summary of all the things you're doing, and then we'll talk about how you are possibly balancing all of this?
Okay. Well, of course, science fair, that's a big part, independent research. And then I'm also a research assistant at the lab that my mentor is the PI at. That's like a very casual position. It's like 10 hours a week, so it's not like a very strict thing. And she's like, when I have exams, I kind of just go MIA and she's fine with that. I'm also volunteering as a like crisis line responder for teens. So that's something I'm really passionate about is like mental health and just like I think you've noticed I like yap a lot, so I really like just if my yap can be supportive to someone, that's something I really like. And then I'm also into the humanities, so I love debate. Like I'm a big debater. Yeah, my family's not really excited about like my dinner conversations, but yeah, I really like debate, so that's something else I do. And something I started with my friends, then I've mentioned before, it's called Neuroconnections. So it's we're trying to help schools have more sensory toys and sensory resources. And so what we do is like we fundraise for different sensory toys, and then I live in Alberta, and so we're quite conservative with our in many ways than one, but especially in our spending and education. So we attend a lot of city hall meetings to try to get some change enacted there. But yeah, outside of all the like the nerdy like all that stuff, I really like to read. So that's one thing. And of course, I think I mentioned this before, but I really like to sleep. So I don't get too much of it, but I like to do it.
Sleep is important. I said this to Trisha. You got to be sleeping. You can't be not
Hard.
sleeping.
It's really hard.
So reading is what you like to do to step away. Is that how you're disconnecting and sort of resetting between all this other crazy?
Yeah, for sure. I like to like imagine myself in like a completely different world. And it's like I think I saw another again, I'm keep speaking badly about AI, but I'm just gonna have to do it again. It's like people are using like AI and ChatGPT as like a therapist, but like I feel like literature and like finding like books that like speak to like the human condition and what you're going through. I feel like it's so much better than like texting a chatbot how you're feeling. But that's my opinion.
Look, I use AI almost every day, but again, I totally agree with you. Like, don't use it to do things for you.
Yeah,
Use it as like a sounding board. Definitely don't use
yeah.
it as a therapist, though. Like, yeah. Are you reading anything interesting at the moment? What's on your top list?
Okay, just finished the I always forget how to say the name. I think it's The Sun is Also a Star. I'm pretty sure. Yeah, and so I finished that. It was really, really good. It's like historical. Because I've been really into like the Gatsby-esque books. So I've been reading a lot of like Ernest Hemingway. I'm trying to like get like that party, like flappers 20s vibe in there. So I've been reading that. And then I actually picked this is really, really nerdy. I'm so sorry, but I picked up my like Value Village has some really good textbooks. So I'm reading like a neurobiology textbook as well. And so I find that really interesting because it's like it gives me ideas for my project as well.
Yeah, I'm starting to pick up a theme that like maybe you're kind of interested in neurobiology.
Maybe, just a little bit.
Just a little bit. Just
Yeah.
a little bit. How are you managing to hold all of this in your head at once? How are there so many versions of yourself that you're holding together?
Google
And where is the
Calendar.
time?
Google
Who
Calendar is
calendar?
really helpful because I forget so much, like, I do so like, it's so bad when I used to, like, not use a calendar, which was, like I don't know why I did that, but, like, a year or 2 ago, I just did not use a calendar, and I would miss a lot of things. So Google Calendar is important, but I think also just, like, being honest with yourself when you, like, need to step away and, like I think, like, time blocking is important, like, I sometimes remind myself, like, I can't do everything at once. If there's a week like the when I missed the week to be in Latvia, like I spent this week was like my school week. Like I was just studying all day. I studied all day, and just like being okay with like not putting as much effort into other things like student council and debate. Just like being okay with that. But then also like just having good break time. Like I try not to be very rigid with myself and my schedule. Like even today, we had early dismissal, and I just saw a bunch of these people in my school. So I was just like, okay, let's just go get food. You know, like just being okay with like taking breaks. Don't like use every opportunity to optimize your time and all that because you're gonna start to hate life. So I just try to be pretty flexible with myself. If one day I'm just like, okay, I'm just tired right now, I want to go to sleep. As long as I don't have something too pertinent, I'll just take a break. And then priorities, like we have these little learning checks. They're like little quizzes. They're kind of formative, so they get exempted if you do better on the unit test. Just like you're not gonna excel in everything if you're trying to like balance everything at once. So being okay with getting like a 60 in that and like making sure you're studying for the unit test. So I think like priorities and yeah, just being taking breaks for sure.
Yeah, and earlier on as well, you mentioned that you do a lot of your like brainstorming over the summer break when you've got time and space to think and be creative, and then you also use a winter break, which is now called exam break, which you don't love, to do a lot of your actual work when you're not studying, which I'm
Yeah.
hoping is still matches up with that priorities advice you just gave right now.
I don't know. For me, school's so weird. I try to like game school, so I try to like optimize the least amount of time I can study. So
So you spent many, many months researching mental health. The question for you is, how did you protect your own mental health while also doing all of this work?
yeah, I think again, it's like first you gotta like have your purpose that like and your purpose should be something that is like completely internal, like your goals for your STEM project for yourself for all that it has to come like intrinsically. It cannot be I want to see myself on stage, I want people to like know that I'm smart and all that, because I'm also going to tell you one thing, like people really don't care that much about what you're doing. Like the most you're going to get from people is they're going to slide up on your story and say congrats, you know? And it's like, is it worth centering your life around getting that congrats? I don't think so. Like it feels nice, of course, but yeah. So like making sure that you're like what you're doing with your project is what you want and not because you want to look cool in front of other people and you want to have like the status. But again, the whole thing with like like this should not be your whole life. And for like I know this is kind of hypocritical to say this because like I think about it a lot, but like just remember like you are someone outside of this project. Like it's not that like if you win, then now you become an awesome person. You're the same person you were. Like this is something I struggle with a lot. If like I do really well in a test, I'm like, oh yeah, I'm so smart. Like I'm the next Einstein here. But then if I like mess up a test, I'm like, oh my god, I became so stupid. It's like no, you're the same person. It's like really like it's like a really good quote actually for this for the mental health. It's that like ego is not like thinking lowly, like having a less of an ego. It's not thinking lowly of yourself. It's just thinking less about yourself. So if you're finding yourself like even like thinking lowly about yourself or just thinking so much about like how people are seeing you, just stop right there. Like it's really gonna take a toll on your mental health. Like I think burnout, the main thing that comes from burnout, of course, being overextended is a big thing, but it's also just like losing like a love for what you're doing. It makes it not worth it. Because why are you going to show up every day if you don't like what you're doing? So yeah, to like avoid burnout and all that, you guys got to be really honest with yourself and drop anything that doesn't serve you. Anything that you think you're doing for someone else and for validation, just drop it.
Except school.
Except school, yeah, but I mean, I feel
Stay
like
in school, kids.
you gotta stay in school, but I feel like there's things outside of other people that you can motivate you for
Yeah,
school,
yeah.
learning and not wanting to not wanting to fail. Not to say
Yeah,
that
I
you're
mean,
gonna fail if you do bad in school, but
no, 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 you're not going to fail at all. You can be there's a little Einstein and a little idiot in each one of us, and
that's so
they can
true.
both exist at the same time.
That's so true.
What would you say to students? We'll get into the advice section. Not that you haven't just given 45 minutes, 50 minutes of pure advice already, but what would you say to students who think something like neuroscience research is so impossibly complex, it must only be for proper adults or proper scientists?
Yeah, honestly, I would just say, like, I feel like if you went to interview a lot of people, even the people at ISAF that are doing these crazy research projects, and you talk to them, you realize, like, not just them, but everyone in the world, like, everyone's just a human. Like, nothing that someone is doing is so unattainable that, like, you can't do it. You can do whatever I've done, like, probably 6 times better. It's really not some, like, intrinsic trait that I have. And, like, even, like, school, like, I'm definitely not the smartest in my school by far, bro. Like especially math, bro. That class, yeah, that taught me a lot. But yeah, like I'm definitely not the smartest person. And I think like if you go into it like mystifying it for yourself in your brain, where you're like, this is like a crazy thing, and like I'm so dumb and I could never tackle it. Yeah, you're probably not gonna tackle it because you told that to yourself. Like you can't do it. Just stop looking at it as like some like this huge like grand problem that like you have to address. Just like look at it more like okay, this is a discipline of science. It's not saying to downplay it. I mean, don't go around like acting like you know the inner workings of the brain when you don't. But like know that you can learn it. Like you can learn anything in life. Like think about if you were to talk to yourself like 2 years ago and you tried to explain some of the things you're doing in school. They'd be like, "What? Like this is crazy." Like it just shows like we can learn so much and like don't ever feel like science or science projects are restricted for a certain kind of person. I'm like really humanities oriented. Like I'm not naturally like good at problem solving and all that, and still like my project was very computational and science. So don't limit yourself because you think that you're an English person or you're a math person.
How was the imposter syndrome over the last 12 months?
That was bad. It was really bad. I was telling that to Rennie actually. So he was talking to me about like after USIS and all that, and I told him like I'm not even lying. Was like when I got called for like best project, I actually thought they made a mistake. And I was waiting. I was checking my email like frantically every day for the next like 2 weeks, thinking that they'd send me an email being like, "Oh, like sorry, like we picked the wrong person." I promise you. Like I could not believe it. And it was really bad, like especially even like going back to school just feeling like I didn't deserve it because I talked to so many awesome people at the fair and I was just like these are like crazy projects. Like I would never imagine myself like being someone. I guess like I think we imagine what we think a winner looks like, and I just never imagined myself like that, and so it was really 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 bad for a couple of months. And it made me kind of like hate my project for a while, like for a couple of weeks. I was like, I don't want to talk about this. But I don't honestly know what got me through it. I think I think it was just an experience. Like, I think learning, like, from winning and from losing is really important, and that's a big thing I learned from winning. But, actually, something my roommate told me was really helpful, actually. So, like, I came back to her room after Canada-wide, and I was just like, I don't think I deserve this. Like, I'm really worried they're gonna find out that I didn't deserve this." And she told me, she said, "Okay, like, what if you didn't deserve it, but, like, now you're in the room, and, like, you have to stay in it. Like, there's like, this is now your life, even if you don't deserve it, so you gotta kinda fake it now. Like, even let's say this was you were the wrong choice, you're now in the situation, and there's no point of thinking of, like, did I deserve it or not? Because 'Cause you're now in the situation, so you have to deserve it now."
Wow. Okay. Your roommate just nailed that. That's so good.
She
Okay.
was a great roommate. Like, she was just so smart. I couldn't believe she was just 1 year older than me, and she's exactly what I needed that week. Like, I would be stressing out about judging and all that, and shout out to Karen. She was the best roommate.
I love that. Uh, why is STEM science fair, STEM projects, why is all of this important? Why are we spending our time? Why are we stressing ourselves? Why are we worrying about imposter syndrome? Why are we not sleeping? Like why are we doing this?
Yeah, I think the main thing is, like, I'll kinda again, I'm yapping so much, I'm so sorry, but, like, it's like actually exploring something you think you might be interested in before you're, like, forced to choose, I think. Like, you go to university and you have to, like, pick a major, and so many people switch their degrees, and that's completely fine as well. Like, you can switch your major, like, it's not the end of the world if you thought you liked math and you actually like psychology, but I think what kids that do STEM projects have like a unique advantage over like the a kid that doesn't do a project is like actually seeing like, do I actually like the actual like work involved in this kind of thing? And so if you do a STEM project and you like, I was actually talking to someone from my delegation. We were talking to us, like, he was younger than us and he was on our team, and he was like, I don't know if I should continue my project. I've done the same project for like 3 years. And the older guy, he said like, no, the whole point of a STEM project is to explore different things. Like, of course, if you're really into your project, by all means do that. But like, the point is like figure out what you don't like and what you really like, and that's what makes a STEM project so important. But it also teaches you so many life skills. Like, I was mentioning this is an interesting observation I had that kids that are like do debate, like I know Anne, from 2024, she's like a world class debater, and like so many people I know that do debate do science fair because there's the same skills of like scientific communication. Like, I feel like kids that do STEM fairs, we're gonna like revolutionize the really dry like science fields that like make it so annoying to like have to read a research paper. So it's like scientific communication, communicating your thoughts, and then also just like the experience of like even if you get to go to Canada, it's like it's such a unique experience to like be put in a ring with like all these people. They're your competitors, but they're also your friends, and you might be jet lagged and you're on like 2 hours of sleep, and then you have to deal with either losing or winning and all that. Like, these are really important life skills. So doing a STEM, and it opens up so many doors. Like, who knew that like you get to spend a week in like some random place in Canada, or like you get to go to Latvia because you did a science fair project. Like, come on, that's pretty cool.
It is pretty cool. You're pretty cool. This whole thing is pretty cool. That's why we're here. Amazing. I mean, it's clear to me that you're a fantastic communicator. Like that,
Thank
I
you.
think that is just an incredible skill that you have. What's the secret? Like, where did you learn to be such a such an amazing communicator?
Well, I really appreciate the compliment, but I'm not sure if I fully agree. I
No,
think
no,
I
no. There's no imposter syndrome right now. We just talked about
okay,
this. You're in a room.
assuming you're right and assuming that that's
Correct.
correct,
Yeah.
honestly, I don't know. I think I just like to talk. I think it comes there's this one thing. I think it's like having like a bit of like a unique confidence is one thing. Like, actually, again, I'm gonna go on a tangent again. I'm so sorry, but my sister just
Prove
started
my
a
point.
club, and the guy that her boss is like really excited that I went to use this and stuff, so he got me a free like bingsu. And he was talking to me and he was like, I think what your sister's lacking is like this just a bit of confidence, like just not not doubting every single word that comes out of your mouth. This even comes out up in debate. Like people will start like talking about something, right? And they'll see like slightly the wrong word, like even like the wrong tense, and they'll just like retract what they're saying, and then their whole speech gets derailed. It's just like improvising, and like don't be too worried about what you're saying. Granted that like it's not crazy, like try not to go crazy. But yeah, I think like having a bit of confidence and just practice. Like I've always been the person that like during a group project, it's kind of been out of necessity that I've had to be the speaker. So just practice talking and having debates. Debate is cool. And watch other people that you think are really good speakers too, because you'll pick up on like intonation and all these things. But again, I don't really think I'm best suited for this because my answers are very convoluted. So
There's a special irony in being told the advice, don't worry so much about what you say, after literally having just heard you say, I'm not a great speaker, I'm going to go and change it, I'm so sorry. You're holding both of these contradictions at the same time. It's amazing.
you just while you're speaking, you gotta keep the confident one on, because then it won't work out.
That's it. No imposter syndrome, just confidence. And I mean, also just being passionate about the thing that you are talking about makes
Yeah,
such a big difference. Like, because
yeah,
then you're not worried about having to think about that thing you read one time. You just know a lot more.
exactly. Being knowledgeable will also give you confidence. There's a confidence in knowing what you're saying too.
So, speaking about confidence, what are we doing? Well, where's the future going for Sarah?
Well, I think first finishing high school, that'd be a really great thing. So I want to finish high school, but I still want to definitely do STEM projects. So I have like my new one in the works right now too. And I just want to keep
Secret?
it. It's
Is it a secret?
I'll talk about it. I'm looking into like again, I always want to look at like the precise like what's actually going on in the brain. And I went on like a rabbit hole. Again, this is like the way STEM projects like sprout. It's literally something random. Like the software that I used for my project for the gene analysis, it has this like specific category for like virology. And I was like, oh, that's pretty interesting. And literally just from that, I was like, oh, I want to look at virology in schizophrenia. And turns out there's a huge field of that. So I want to look at like latent viral elements. So they're basically these viral elements that are like very ancient and like they're silenced in our body. And I want to quantify them and see if there's like a specific difference between someone with schizophrenia, someone without. And then I want to look at like the specific treatment options available. There are I won't get too specific into this, but there's like a specific protein that you can modify. So I want to see if there's a way I could like silence those genes using that protein, and then corroborate it with different like seeing like the downstream effects. So like seeing if it actually leads to long-term restoration of the pathway. So that's what's going on.
You're a big few months ahead of you.
Yeah, it's been a lot, especially the data. The data's been hard, but this time I think I've been better at asking for help. Like for my last project, I was very like I didn't want to ask anyone, and I was for some reason kind of embarrassed about my project. But this time I like reached out to the PI and I was like, please like help me get the data.
Have you bought an external hard drive yet? Got some more
You know
storage?
what? I need to do that, I think. I really think I need to do that, but not yet.
Yeah, if you win next year, I'll take all credit. I suggested you buy an external hard drive, and that's all
I'll
it
put you
took.
in my acknowledgements, don't worry.
Amazing. Speaking of, is there anyone you want to thank for helping you along this path to getting to the success?
Yeah, of course. I want to thank like everyone that I've just like emailed or like messaged over the time. Like Elizabeth Chen, I sent her a text like the summer before I started working on this, and she was so awesome, so open. I also talked to Anne for like USIS advice. She was really awesome. It's just anyone I talked to, even people in the Discord, it was really fun to connect. But for Canada One and more for like my project, I'm really thankful to the people with the lived experience that were willing to sit down and chat with me, because I know it's probably annoying to like sit down with someone that doesn't really like truly understand your experience, but I'm really glad that they were willing to give me that perspective. And then also the PI at my lab, Dr. Sara Waqas, she's just such a great support. She has such a unique approach to like running a lab and like helping out kids and nurturing their love for science. And so I'm really grateful that she was willing to let me present at like the lab discussions and helping me with like refining the presentation. And I also do wanna thank my parents because they were always, like, very supportive with this. It's really nice when, like, you have people really excited for you. Like, every time I had, like, a media opportunity, they were super excited about it as well. And my sister's really great as well. She's again, like, she doesn't put pressure on me, but she's so excited, when I succeed, so it's really awesome.
I love that. I love having supportive people around you. It makes
Yeah,
life so much beautiful. Yeah.
it does,
Any
yeah.
final words before we wrap up? Any last pieces of advice?
Well, I would say everyone, you guys have to do a STEM well, you don't have to, but you should really, really do a STEM project. It's really, really awesome, and, like we said, like, even if nothing comes out of it, you still learn so much about some topic, and it'll make you really interesting, I think, at, like, parties and stuff, you can just start rambling on about your project, so please do a STEM project.
I have never heard the reason it'll make you cool at parties as the reason to do
Yep.
a STEM project. I love
Yeah.
that. I'm going to splash that everywhere. That's the new website header right there.
Really? Okay, I feel inspired.
Yeah,
At least a
I'll
social
be to
media
it.
post.
Yeah, exactly. Well, Sarah, I mean, I could talk to you for hours, and maybe we should get you back on to talk about AI and all of your thoughts, because I feel like
All the
there's
things I hate about
a whole
AI.
well of conversation to go. You have truly inspiring to everyone. And I know there's some imposter syndrome there, but you are truly an incredible young scientist. You've done an amazing project. I'm sure your next project's going to be incredible. If it's not, that's fine. You're also still just doing amazing work. Congratulations again on your best project at Candlelight Science Fair and also your second prize at USIS. I mean, you just having one incredible year
Yeah, for
and
sure.
I love it.
Thank you so much. It was really nice to talk. I think you asked all the right questions that let me like yap about everything in my life. So
We love a yapper. It's fantastic. Thank you so much. I'm
thank
sure we'll
you.
talk to you soon.
Thank
Everyone
you.
else, tune in to another episode where we will have another wonderful guest. I've still got a few more Platinum Award winners from Candlelight Science Fair 2025 to interview. And so until then, stay curious and enjoy your adventures in STEM.
Thank you.